Alright, let's see if anybody's awake, since I never plan these things. Also, ow, 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 ow. Let's see if anybody's awake, because it's super late. Super late. Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. I'm gonna say most of my audience is probably not awake right now. Oh, look, people are up. Hey! I'm getting myself all set up here. There's Mickey. Say hi, Mickey. Say hi, buddy. Yeah, you're on YouTube. Say hi. Huh? You gonna say hi to me? Aw. Okay. I know there's a lot of people who are asleep, and I really am terrible about, like, pre-planning these things. I keep saying I'll get better in the future, and then I never do. I was actually going to go live earlier, and then I saw Jelena had gone live, and I know we have overlapping audiences, and then I got busy doing stuff, and so I'm like, well, I'm still going to go live tonight, just to go live, just because I haven't communicated with you guys in a while. As you can see back there, there is a sink right there. And it actually is functional. I just got it on a temporary setup yesterday. I've left these covers on because until I finish the box truck, I just want to protect the doors, so that's why you still see like the advertisement from the store on there. But the sink is actually functional. And I always get scared hooking up a sink because it might spill all over the floor, and honestly, I did not have as much of a water mess as I suspected. There's my man up there sniffing on things. He loves that book bag. He'll just hang out in there. Look at him. And he's really too big for that book bag, but I don't want to take it away from him because he loves to just lay in there. So yeah, I got my sink. It's temporarily set up, but that is where it's going to be. It is in its actual like final placement. There's just some stuff around it that need to be finagled. All that junk by the door, that's not its final placement. I just don't have anywhere to put it because I don't really have storage. And that's the hardest part about the box truck right now, is that once this is built out, I'll be able to use all this vertical space I have. And right now, all I have really is kind of floor space. So once I have like cabinets and things that can actually use the vertical space, it's going to be so much better in here than it is right now. I've had people ask if I'm going to do a tour. Like, there's nothing to really tour. Like, it's a box with a couple of things in it right now, including the installation. So, like, I don't really have anything to tour, as it were. But the sink it was one of those items that once I put it over there, it was like, oh my gosh, this is turning into kind of a home. And then this is actually a nightstand. This is temporary. I am going to build a better cabinet for this, but registration is coming up soon, so I'm basically preparing the box truck to look as much like an RV as I can. So the next major thing I want to work on is putting the paneling on the walls and building my bed. I've actually already ordered my mattress, and I'm going to go pick it up tomorrow. Sorry, I'm trying to put the phone down, and I'm just running my mouth. I'm not even looking at the chat. So I'm going to go pick up my mattress tomorrow, but it's going to go into the storage unit because I don't have room for it in here to really lay out to be laid on, and it would just take away all my floor space. So I'm going to keep sleeping on the sleeping bag, but my plan is by early next week to have an actual bed structure built, but I don't know if I can make that happen. So cross your fingers for me. It's not a matter of not having the stuff, it's having the person or people and scheduling it so people can come. But this is a nightstand, and this is really great because it gives me a couple of drawers and it raises the stove up. And then this is actually the kick plate for the sink, and I just put it up here so that the stove is kind of set in something and it's attached to the nightstand. So that's a nice little temporary setup until I get the actual cabinet that'll enclose this a little better and look a bit prettier. And this just came from Target. It's just that cheap IKEA style furniture. But if I had to live with this for a while, I could, and that's why I got it. While I'm working on getting sort of finalized items in here, that can last for a while. And then when I get the actual cabinet or build it, I'm probably just going to transition that over to clothing storage. So I didn't feel like it was a waste of money, and I've been reluctant to buy things that I know I'm going to replace because I know what I want to do with my bill. All right, so that was me running my mouth a lot. Let me see. I've been running my mouth. I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to move you guys because basically it's easier to look on the chat in my laptop. But if I look at my laptop, I'm going to be away from you guys. So I'm going to scroll up. So yeah. Mike Beck says, come on, Dawn, it's only 9:30. It's 9:30 for you. The East Coast has a 3-hour time difference. So at 9:30, I'm kind of pushing it with people who aren't in my same time zone. Like, it's not that late for me. Actually, it is kind of late. I'm old. I need to be in bed right now. But I know for some people, it's like way later than 9:30. Unapologetically Me says, hey, I was just thinking about you. You inspire me. I'm so close to giving up on my build. Do not give up. Take a break. So what happens a lot of times is the end becomes such an obsessive thing that you just need to take a break from doing it. Like, take 2 weeks to not work on your build. Like, unless there's some time reason you need to rush your build, don't rush it. Or ask yourself if there's an easier way to do what you're trying to do. I know a lot of people, there's somebody I know, and I think what's slowing down her build is she's determined to have what all of the YouTubers have. She wants the ideal YouTuber Instagram van, and I think it's causing her more frustrations than is necessary. And I think if you let some of that go and just ask yourself, like for me with my my van I had before this, I tried the sink, I didn't like it, and I pulled it out because for me in that van, it wasn't worth it to give up the space that I needed for the water pump, the water tanks. It wasn't just the sink. It was like I gained so much space by getting rid of the sink in that. And the sink looked good in photos. It looked good on camera, but it was not functional for me on a daily basis. It just looked good on camera. And I'm not saying that's the issue, but sometimes taking a break or reevaluating your build can help a lot. And to an extent, if your priority is to get on the road, it's okay to let go of some of the more detailed things that you want to do on a build. There is no perfect build, only the thing that works for you, and you can always modify and upgrade. So just go at a pace that makes you happy and get in a place that makes you happy. Just don't give up. Don't give up on the dream. Renee May says it's only 10:30 in Alberta, Canada. Only an hour off. That's good. Not too late. Not too late. Heather, you said you got to go to bed. You're probably gone already, but I'm going to record this. So in the replay, I'm telling you good night, Heather. I'm glad you jumped in to say hey. If anybody wants to hit that thumbs up as well, I see like 315 people in the chat, but only 38 thumbs up. So any extra thumbs up I can get just helps the channel. Just take a second to click on that thumbs up. Thank you to everyone who's congratulating me on the new sink. So the interesting thing about that sink is that sink, let's see if we can get it on camera. There it is. That sink is actually a laundry room sink. It came with the cabinet. It came with the faucet. It came with all of the basic parts. I didn't have to buy a cabinet and cut a hole First of all, I liked it for size, because one of the big things I want to do with my sink is be able to wash my hair. That's been a big limitation I've had, even with the sink I had in the camper van for a little while. But I can put my head under that sink, and that's kind of awesome. And so I can wash my hair in it, and it's big enough for like dishes and most of the things I want to use. Mickey can fit in that sink, even though he'd probably be mad at me if I put him in there. But with the water off, he's fine. He crawled in there himself today, then the water came on and he ran. Oh my gosh. So it pretty much was literally, I took it out the box, I put the sink basin in, I had to buy a couple parts for the drain pipe, and I had to buy a couple parts to connect it to my water pump that I took out of a previous sink I had. But after that, it was like pretty easy. Almost everything I needed was in the box, except I made like 15 trips to Home Depot for fittings after buying the wrong ones. But otherwise, it's been, you know, it's a great size. I like that my water pump isn't super powerful because it makes me not waste water. So I'm pretty happy with what I have. Woo! But the chat just jumped on me. I'm scrolling through the chat. I'm live on my cell phone, but I'm scrolling through the chat on my laptop just because it's easier and I miss less. Julie says, I hope you are not having to spend money on wood to build your bed frame. You have all the wood you took off the walls. I hope you can use it for your bed. I will be using some of it, but also because I am a rather large girl, I was worried about just general support in a lot of ways. So one of the things I actually bought was I bought a bunkie bed frame. I don't know if you guys have heard of a bunkie board, but it's basically a thin board that you can put under a mattress on the top of like the bunk bed area. So it basically has metal slats and a metal frame the size of, and they come in metal and wood. And I got a metal one. And the reason why I got it is I wanted to build off of that. I will use some of the wood I already have for my leg supports, but the actual bed that the mattress is going on is a bunkie board that I'm going to build into a platform that's going to be over top of the bed, but I'll actually be laying on a metal frame, and it'll just have wood leg supports, and it'll make much more sense when you guys see it. Oh, actually, where's my sketch? I did some sketching the other day. Some of this has changed. Let me see if I can find it. Where are my sketches? Hopefully I didn't lose them. I took a picture of them today. Here it is. I don't know how well. So that's my idea for the bed. There's a cab area right here. There's going to be storage on one side and a dry toilet on the other side. Underneath the bed, to the left and right of the cab area. These stairs over here are actually the fridge and the freezer, which eventually are going to be built into cabinets that kind of match and look like stairs, and then they'll just kind of pull out, and I can pull it out and get to the freezer, pull it out and get to the fridge, and then they're also acting as the stairs to my bed. This is going to be the metal frame that I'm going to put over the cab area. I don't actually know what this is. It may be like some of the 2x6s I took off the wall, or 1x6s, and then just like a piece of plywood over it, but like two leg supports over here, two leg supports over here, and then at the front right here, possibly attached to where the window area is. But until I actually like kind of feel it out a little bit, I won't know exactly, but I have an idea of how I'm gonna do it. But this is the basic idea. The freezer will be the first step, the fridge will be the second step, and then you're on the bed. And then those drawers pull out, allowing me access to my fridge and freezer. So there is a plan. Alrighty. La 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 Lamppost says, hey, I went to Towson too. Awesome, Towson Tigers. ESP and me. Let me see if I can make you. I'm trying to make you a mod. Usually they give you the option on here. Oh, I think I know what's wrong. Give me a second. I'm trying to make you a mod. I know why, because I'm not logged in on the laptop, so I can't do it on the laptop. Oh, yeah. Definitely can't do it right here. Give me a second. I'm trying to take care of my moderator situation. There we go. All right. All right, ESP and me, I have made you a moderator. Thank you, Renee May, for volunteering to be a moderator. I've made you one as well. So if anything else like that come up, thank you. Thank you, moderators. It just took me a second to work that out. I'm also off camera. Raven says, I love the blueprint that you drew for your bed. Let me try to keep you guys on camera. Oh, I scroll. Clint Butterball says, is that a van or a truck? It is a box truck, traditionally is what it's called. Technically, the cab is a van. So calling it a box van and calling it a box truck are actually both accurate terms, but traditionally, it would be called a box truck. Whoop. Thank you so much, mods, for jumping in. Like, I needed that. That's what I get for jumping on. Margaret says, long time, where have you been? I've been working. So this past week was my last week of rehearsals for a show. I am not an actor. I'm what's known as a stage manager. So I'm the person who takes all the notes, communicates those designers, sends out reports every night, works with the actors, works with the designers. You're basically like the middleman for the whole show. I like to think of stage managing as you work for everyone and everyone works for you. And it's happening constantly at the same time. And I was just overwhelmed. Like, I needed to 100% concentrate on that show in order for it to get up. And I got really, really stressed out. So it was like, I just full throttle concentrated on the show. We opened this Sunday. We had previews on Friday and Saturday. And so we'll be running the show on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the next month or so. And it's going to be way easier for me because at this point, I just show up, I run the show. It's night, so I can spend my day on build projects if I need to. And then be done, you know. So it's basically going to be like a very robotic thing until close. But this past week was insane, and we were very behind on where we needed to be to add in the technical elements of that show. Like, there were still things we needed to do that required more rehearsal. So that's where my mind's been, and I just haven't been able to like really put a lot of energy into video the way I wanted to. So that's where I've been. Lori says, when are you swinging through Baltimore again? I have no idea. Like, honestly, I have no idea. I would love to go back. I can't go this summer, and I don't want to be on the East Coast in the winter. So I feel like probably I'll be back on the East Coast in the summer of 2022. Like, how much of that time I'll spend in Baltimore, I don't know. But, you know, I only want to go east when it's warm there. I don't want to go when it's cold or about to get cold. Thank you, La 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 Lamppost. Do you want to be a moderator? I could add another moderator. Mike, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. And oh my god, that sticker is so cute. Blazing Lasers, thank you for the $20 super chat. And oh, these stickers are so cute. I love them. And let's see. I'm scrolling down. And Terry, thank you for the $10 super chat. All of this helps. One thing with a build is like money goes way faster than you expect. But I was able to get my mattress because I got paid for the show. So I've been paid for that. And the sink was on sale for like $180 for everything. The cabinet, the sink, the faucet, all of that. It was $180, and it was worth it for me not to have to build it, to be honest. I don't really trust my cabinet making skills. Like, I can put in insulation, I can paint something that's all one color, but I do not really trust my cabinet making abilities. So it was just easier for me to just get like an all-in-one thing that was already pretty much there and just hook up the plumbing fixtures. So all your super chat contributions are much appreciated. Thank you guys. I'm gonna see if I can. We had to take care of that little moderator situation, so I don't want to add you as a moderator. So I got a little bit thrown off, and I'm trying to scroll up and see if there's anything else I need to reply to. Debbie asked me how the show was going. The show is up, which is a relief. Sunday was actually really, really good. It was a really good show. I feel like on Friday and Saturday when we did our preview, which is just running the show, it's just not technically opening night. We were nervous about where we were, I think, on Friday. Saturday we were more comfortable with it, and Sunday honestly was a great show. So I'm happy with it. Whoopsie. I'm reading the comments. Lori X, how difficult is it going to be to find garages for routine maintenance? I basically look for places that take commercial trucks or RVs, because I'm basically in the same size as a Class C. It's basically as much trouble as you would have with like a Class C. Because let's be real, Class Cs are just modified in style. Not specifically, they actually got a box truck, but they do the same thing with a Class C that they do with most box trucks. They get a van cab, usually a heavy duty. In this case, I have a Ford E350. And then they create the back part. Now, for a box truck, they just throw a box on it and send it on its way. For an RV, they build out like the RV situation, but they get the cab from Ford. So any place that services commercial trucks or RVs, I can go to. Is it harder? Yes. Is it more expensive? Yes. But also, like, I don't have a house. I don't have an apartment. I don't pay rent. I'm not going to say it's easy or I can afford every repair when it comes up, but I also don't have my money going anywhere else. And there's bad and good to that. The bad is it has not happened in my minivan or my full-size van or even my car, and not in this box truck yet. But if your vehicle needs to be worked on for multiple days, then obviously you've lost your whole house, and that's just part of the risk, and that's the bad part. But the good part is you can set aside money for those situations when this is all you have anyway. And so the best thing you can do is prepare for that situation. And I'd rather do that than have a piece of property I have to worry about when I'm not there. I like that my house is with me all the time. And so far, if I got to a place early in the morning and was the first one in, I was usually out by end of day, even if I had to spend the whole day sitting, in a mechanic shop. So all I can do is move forward with faith that it's always worked out, and hope it works out. The best thing I can also do is try to stay ahead of routine maintenance and not neglect it, and just make it a priority to also have that money and get like certain checks before I get on the road, just to make sure the soundness of the engine and the tires and the fluids is all that is as best as it can be before going on a long trip. Sometimes you can get so excited about the leaving that people don't do that really. So yeah. It's hopefully I'm saying your name right. Atanaban says stage managing seems like a good skill set for building out a box truck. We'll see when I'm done. We'll see. Stage managing is a lot about making sure the pieces go in the right spot, but it isn't necessarily about doing those pieces yourself. Give me a second. I gotta go grab a tissue. Woo. My knees hurt. I'm getting. You guys want to see Mickey? Well, wait a minute. Let me get him. Whoop. He loves that backpack. He will just hang out in there. Like, I hardly ever use it as a backpack. It's usually just sitting there for him to get in when he feels like it. All right. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me grab the phone real quick. So let's come over here. All right. So there's the sink. I'm gonna hit this little button right here. This is the water pump switch that I wired up yesterday. Yes, it'll be way cleaner than this when I do the final. But bam! Let's go to here and boom. Washing my hands. I'm just washing my hands. Washing my hands. I mean, I could turn this off, but I usually don't. I just usually leave it open and click the switch. Because why not? What do I do with my towels? Give me a second. Wiping my hands. Wiping my hands. Mickey. I'm so proud of that. I need to get some more water though. My water supply is kind of low. Alright, let's get you guys back into position. And get down here. Sorry. Unapologetically me asks what my favorite color is. My favorite color is always changing. I don't really have one. I know it sounds weird, but I just kind of don't. Like, I have, like, colors based on the situation, but I'm not like, I love orange more than other things. Like, I just don't have those kind of emotions. I went through, like, a pink period, but then I was kind of over it. I've been attracted to a lot of, like, mint greens lately, but I'm not, like, 100% committed to it in any situation. So I wouldn't say I have one. Because, like, all the colors are awesome, so, like, I don't really feel like I can pick one. Sunshine, my only sunshine says it must be hard to park in the city. Not really. I'm gonna be honest. Like, my parking hasn't changed that much. I'm a nervous parker. I don't like to squeeze in places unless I am 100% sure I can fit. So even with the Chevy van, I had started looking for, like, places that could accommodate a larger vehicle. And I'm not a person who goes back to the same spot. I honestly, I have a couple of spots where I'm like, okay, I want to be at the storage unit in the morning. Let me look in these 3 places. And sometimes when I'm just driving, doing my daily tasks, especially since I'm in the same area right now, I'll keep my eyes open. And if I get on the street where I'm like, I think I could fit there overnight, or I think I could get away with an overnight, I'll, like, note that and then go back and check it out at night. So I'm always keeping my eyes open during the day for somewhere to park, and I would say 80% of the time I just end my day at the place that's most convenient. And since the box truck is already only in places where I feel comfortable about how it fits, I'm not really going through a lot of challenging, questions about that. So it hasn't honestly been that bad. And there's also like places I know that are back to being open 24 hours. During the early stages of COVID, that wasn't true. But a lot of places that were 24 hours that had started closing late and opening early so that they could clean up the store are starting to go back to be 24 hours. So there's some 24-hour places I know where I can slip into the parking lot and nobody's going to kick me out. I have a new place that I've been trying, and I try to stay more than a week apart doing it. And mostly it's been fine. Like, the worst that's happened is like a warning that I couldn't park my vehicle there overnight. And it wasn't even about me sleeping in it. It was just that it was a notice, thank God, not a ticket, that they didn't allow overnight parking. So it honestly hasn't been that bad because I don't go to like the suburbs and expect to park. Like, I just don't expect it. And in some situations, even when there's places I have to be, I'll ask about the parking ahead of time. Like, if it's somewhere I have to be, like even with the theater, I immediately bought up my box truck to the production manager. Like, I was like, I'm living out of my box truck. I have a cat. I don't want him too far from me. And so far, I've been able, most nights, there was one night I couldn't, and I kind of had to park around the corner. Most nights I've been able to park in front of their loading dock door, which is still on this little tiny street, but I fit just fine. And when I don't feel comfortable, like, I look for another way to park, because I can't park where the audience is going to be watching a show since it's drive-in theater. But Mickey is like nowhere from me. Like, I could literally go out the door and get to him in like 10 minutes. And because I'm like blocking, the loading dock door with permission, I'm not too worried about anybody like calling cops and getting me towed, because everybody's aware of why I'm doing it. So it hasn't been that hard so far. We'll see what it's like when I start traveling again. Jody says she loves the pull-out stair drawers. Thank you. I think the cat's litter box is literally going to be beside my dry toilet. And that's going to be underneath the bed area where my feet are going to face. And so my friend Ashley is like, isn't it going to smell? And from what I've heard, if you vent the box that you're using for your dry toilets are sometimes called composting toilets incorrectly, as far as I'm concerned, unless you're actually composting the poo. I'm hoping like that'll work out. And we'll see. If not, it should be a pretty easy thing to rethink and maybe move further from the bed. But everybody who's vented their toilet says it doesn't really smell, and people have these toilets in like little tiny vans way smaller than my box truck, and so there's no real getting, when you're in it, like, I live in less than 100 square feet myself, there's no real getting it away from you. Like it's not like when you like put it in the basement and like you live in the like first floor and second floor of the house. There's only so far it can get from you anyway. And for having the most floor space, I'd love to have it like under the bed, since the bed should be high enough for me to just like slide under there and sit. Adaban says that's a good deal for the sink cabinet combo. Yeah, I was so excited. Like, a lot of sinks that style are $200 or more. Some of them are $300 or $400. So when that one went on sale and it started running out, I was like, I don't care what money I have, I'm buying it now. Because money was a little tight at the point I bought it. I've had it not usable for like a week or so. And it just got usable like last night. So once I saw like my local Home Depot wasn't selling them anymore, I had to go to another Home Depot. I pre-ordered it. I went and picked up the sink, took it out the box, and there was like no faucet, there were no drain pieces, like it was missing all these parts. So then I had to pack it back up, go back to that Home Depot. They didn't have any more, so I just returned it and got a refund. And then I had to go to a third Home Depot. Again, I pre-ordered it just to make sure that it was there. Picked it up, everything was fine, everything was in the box, but I went through some stuff to get that sink, but that was the sink I wanted, and I wasn't accepting any substitutes. Off airhead, I don't know if anybody's answered your question, but I've been live for about 35 minutes or so at the time that I'm seeing that comment. Oh, look, somebody did answer it like 10 minutes ago. Unapologetically me says, favorite thing you might like made for your home. I sew and do DIY things. I don't know right now. It's too hard right now. I mean, once the cabinets are built for the fridges and the fridge and the freezer, I'd also like to sit on them. So, but I feel like they need to be built before I decide if I want like some sort of fabric or cushion for them. So that's the only thing I can think of that's like in the fabric category, but I'm not sure right now, to be quite honest. And Adaban says, can you buy insurance to protect your build? I've heard of people getting like renter's insurance on their RVs. I do plan to get this. That's my big plan. Hi, Mickey. He's crawling up here. Hi, buddy. Say hi. You're like, I just wanted your attention. Now he's done. So I plan to get RV insurance in the long term, hopefully actually this month. So that's part of the goal for this month, is to get qualified as an RV from the DMV and switch out everything over to RV insurance coverage and all of that. I'm sure you can add coverage that's going to protect a certain amount of belongings in your vehicle, but as far as the actual details of it, I'm not going to lie and pretend I know. I don't know. You know, in the past, I've only honestly protected the vehicle and just, you know, had to deal with whatever that was because that was all I could afford. So yeah. Carolyn Freebird says, foremost insurance company has good rates. I think they still insure van conversions, RVs, etc. Thank you for that note. Adrian says, when it's all done, will you still go camping? That would be the reason for getting it done. If I'm not going to go anywhere, there's really no point in living on wheels. But, you know, when I have to work, I have to work. I'm not independently wealthy. And I know people think, oh, like 20,000 subscribers means you're rich. It doesn't. It does help, especially like during COVID. I would have had no money if I didn't have a YouTube channel. And so I was able to survive because I was able to kind of really push the YouTube channel. And at the time, I wasn't thinking I want to be a full-time YouTuber. I was thinking I've lost my job and the only thing I have is making money right now is YouTube. And honestly, I was making like maybe like $200 a month on a good month. And I still had a little bit of money coming in from unemployment, but I knew I wanted to try to get a stronger foothold of something that I was making independently. So I really just threw myself into doing video and eliminating debts during that time. So I've never really had the goal to be like a full-time YouTuber. I really like doing it. I like the chance to be creative, but honestly, it surprised me still how much this channel has grown and how much I actually do love having it as a creative outlet. It's just, it's hard balancing when that's not your only thing. And I'm learning how difficult that can be sometimes, which makes me respect some other people's like workflow a whole lot. So yeah, I don't know, that got kind of off subject. Adrian says, that's not your backpack anymore, it's Mickey. It's like Mickey's extra bed. He loves it. Sunshine says, how do you stay safe? I mean, like, lock my doors like everybody else, you know, secure my windows at night, make sure people can't see in, like my curtains are drawn right now. And yeah, I mean, I do what I consider like smart things to do. I don't know that I have a really direct answer to like, how do I stay safe? Besides making sure my doors are locked, trying not to expose, I'm solo in here. And I don't park in neighborhoods where I feel unsafe. I think that's the smartest thing you can do. If you don't feel safe, don't stay there. Like, your house has wheels. That's one of the things I like. I felt more safe living in a vehicle than I did living in a house or an apartment, because I was, for the most part, poor, which meant they restrict where you can live when you're poor. When you're poor, it's like, you're going to live here because that's all you can afford, and you have no choice. You have absolutely zero choice. Whereas when you live on wheels, you can sleep in the place you find the safest. And when you don't feel safe, you put your keys in your ignition and you drive off. So for me, because I never lived in, like, I'm not going to say never. There are plenty of neighborhoods that were fine, but I never lived in a house that was so safe that I felt it was better than living in the vehicle. Like, comparatively, honestly, they're the same to me, but the advantage of the vehicle is that I can drive and leave. Like, I can make the choice to stay in better neighborhoods than I could ever afford. Now, you have to do that with common sense. I'm not going to go into the middle of rich suburbia and park my bummy little box truck, but there's a lot of middle ground between, like, the worst area ever, and some ritzy neighborhood that's going to kick you out right away. There's a whole lot of middle ground there. And it's hard to explain it because it's just an experience for me of, like, looking over the neighborhood, feeling like I'm safe, feeling like nobody's going to bat an eye at a big truck being parked there, or before that, the Chevy van, or before that, the minivan, or before that, the car. And it's just something I feel out on a daily basis, and mostly, like, I feel like I've parked where I would feel safe if I was in a house in that same neighborhood. So that's when it comes to urban, that's my main thing. I feel like there's an inherent risk in, like, going out to the boonies, but what's the point of getting into this lifestyle if you're not just going to prepare yourself best you can and go and do it anyway? I don't know if that's a correct answer, but that's my answer to it. I'm just looking through the comments now because I know I'm, like, way behind because I ran my mouth. So I'm trying to just catch up to any questions. Keno Browner says, Happy Pride Month. So many things. Oh, man. Let me scroll up. I don't want to lose where I was. Give Mickey a hug from us if he lets me. He's probably going to fight me if I try to give him a hug. Debbie asks if I'm building my own composting toilet. Yes, pretty much. That's the plan. I just got to build the bed first, because a lot of things I'm going to be able to decide off of, like, where the bed lands. Like, I have it marked out where it ends, but a lot of it is going to be getting the bed in here so I can kind of form. There's some ideas I'm not sure about, because the bed comes up maybe like a foot or so, or half a foot shorter than the full span of the area in front of the window. So I'd like to have some sort of storage there, but I need to see it to know what it is, and that's just the way my brain works. So it's like, I'll place the big parts. Like, I knew what I wanted to do for a sink, I knew what I wanted to do for a stove, I knew what I wanted to do for a bed, and I've kind of formed other things around that. So I don't do the whole, like, plan, I do the big footprints, and then I sort of pop out from those big footprints. And the good thing about living in here is I was going to do an L-shaped kitchen area. And then once I actually got the sink in here and put the stove on a raised cabinet, I was like, I actually don't like that idea. I'd like to keep it all flat against the wall. And so I cut the idea of having that L-shaped kitchen area and decided I'm going to put everything on the wall. And I semi-redesigned it, but it's like I had to physically see those objects in the space. And because things are happening really slow, I'm not, like, living in a house, not experiencing living in the box truck, and then getting out on the road and figuring out that it actually wasn't the best plan. So that's the good thing about living in here as I'm adding pieces, even though it means I have to wire up my fan temporarily instead of permanently, because I still have stuff to do on the ceiling and the walls. But that's been okay. And I've moved a couple of small things around, but those big pieces have kind of stayed, which was where I was going to put the bed and where I was going to put the kitchen is mostly the same. I just decided to eliminate the L that I was going to do because I didn't want to take that space up. And seeing something on paper is not the same as seeing it 3D in the physical space. So I had drawn a bunch of stuff out, and in my head it worked. But having it like physically in the space and experimenting with it a little bit, I was like, nah, we're gonna change this. And if I wasn't living in here and I had a way to like park this and not live in it while I was building it out, it would be great. That's like the best situation to be in. But it is nice to sort of live with a small decision and realize it's not going to work and be able to modify it before you've built out this massive thing that's done, and realizing, oh, that actually, it sounded good in my head, but it's not actually good in practice. Casper to y'all said, I just found your channel watching from Canada. My Canadians, I love you. Lala Lamppost says, just a heads up, even if it's registered as an RV with the DMV, some insurance companies will force you to register it as a commercial vehicle. Good to know. It sounds like some people have found ways to insure conversion specifically, but that is good to know. Like, I'm just assuming, and my insurer of choice might be like, nah, shoot, there you go, come back. Adrian says, is it hard to drive on mountain roads? I get scared on mountain roads too. I haven't driven this vehicle on a mountain road, so I don't know how I'll feel about this particular vehicle on a mountain road. But having seen Class C's, which are in the same size category, and even I saw a huge bus go up a road that scared me when I was in a minivan. I was afraid. I was like, don't fall off the edge. Don't fall off the edge. So it's just one of those things, like, I have to go out and do and decide my comfort level. It's one of those things I can't know ahead of time. And that's actually some of the fun, is facing a fear and pushing through it. Like the first time I did solar, I got a kit and a battery and a fuse box and a little inverter. I had a tiny inverter because I was afraid of anything in the 1,000 calorie category. Like, I was just sure I was going to cause a fire. And so I was afraid as heck, but I was sick of not having enough power. So this is when I had the minivan. And so I get my kit, I hook up my first system, and everything's fine. Like, except for later discovering, I think I ended up draining the batteries, so I messed up the batteries and they wouldn't hold the charge well. Like, besides that happening down the road, there was no huge disaster. It was mostly in my head. And so sometimes you just gotta push through something that scares you and be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, I was so afraid of this. And sometimes you can't get to that feeling until you get to the other side of it. Starlight Annie, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Ooh, there's been a party of super chats that I missed. Deborah Norman, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And Gigi, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Atanaban, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. These stickers are so freaking adorable. I love them. They're so adorable. AK McGrath, love your comment. Just Chill says, you should do more videos. You are really good. I'm hoping that I can dedicate time to really getting out videos now that opening the show is behind me. I wanted to vlog during the show, but I just couldn't. Like, it would have made me not able to do my job, and so I had to really focus on doing my job. Dora asks, how is the stove oven working out for you? I use that oven almost every freaking day. I love that oven. I mean, I've always had a 2-burner stove. I don't think, for me, I would never want a 1-burner stove because a lot of times in the morning, I always want to have my cup of tea. And I basically boil the tea in my pot, which I think is over there on the stove. Ow, ow. This is a hard position to be in. I've been on my knees all this time, y'all. I'm too old for this. So, boop, boop, boop. I had tea kettles multiple times, but I just find it easier just to have a pot. And I usually boil water in here. And since I'm boiling water, it's nice to have a second burner just in case I need to use a burner as well. So I'm happy with having a 2-burner stove, and I freaking adore my oven. For me, it's almost like an electric-free substitute for a microwave. It takes a little bit longer. It kind of cooks more like a toaster oven than a traditional oven. Mickey, get off the stove! Cat. And so, you have to get used to that, but cat. Now you're just chilling. I use it all the time for like when I need something fast. I'll get like a frozen meal and just put it in the oven and set the timer, and usually it works out. You check the middle, see if it's like frozen or unfrozen. There's other things I like to use it for, like baked salmon and Brussels sprouts. But it's just a really convenient thing to have. I personally would not want to go without having an oven again. Like if this thing died on me, I would buy another one. That's how much I love it. I'll see if I can reposition myself because my knees are hurting. And I want to try to get through this thread right here. Oh my goodness. Hi, Nikki. Woo. Oh, this is better. Oops, knocked down the phone. All right. We'll see if I can do this a little bit better. If you haven't already, open an investment account and buy GME and AMC stock. Buy what you can and hold it until it goes to the moon. This is not financial advice. Heather says, what's up? It's 1 a.m. where I am, and I was like, oh, other night people. I'm usually not a night person, but I was just like up, and I meant to go live earlier, and I didn't, and I was like, I'm gonna go live even if 5 people show up, and I'm kind of astounded that way more than 5 people showed up. Anne says, I've learned so much from your channel, more than anyone, especially electrical and solar. I'm so glad I can help you out with that. I know how scary it is to jump into that, especially when you have no experience with it. You explain things step by step so well, and you tell us things that do and do not work so well. I appreciate that comment. Like, I try to, like... Sometimes I feel like people put too much in a video, and it's not that they aren't doing it at the beginner level, but their idea of what a beginner level is like here, and my brain is like here. And I'm like, I got about 20% of that. I am scrolling quickly through the chats. Hello to host who is new here. I just saw that in the chat because I was scrolling through the chat. Anna and Gigi says, I understand in California you have to get the registration changed saying that your van or truck is now an RV or camper. Then you can get insurance that also covers your makeover items. Anna and Gigi, that's partially true. But you have to do that in every state. There is no state where you don't have to do that. It's not just California. There are states that it's just easier to do that versus harder to do that. And I've actually heard people had a really good experience at the DMV. But because the DMV says your bus or box truck or van or whatever is an RV, doesn't mean the insurance company has to see it that way. So it's you have to get, if you want RV insurance, it's good to be qualified as an RV, and also driving the vehicle on the road, especially larger commercial vehicles, how you're seen legally changes if you're an RV. Like, I, as an RV, wouldn't have to stop at way stations where it says like trucks must stop. I don't have to stop at way stations if I'm an RV legally. Because obviously RVs are owned by mostly private owners as opposed to commercial vehicles. So there are little things with the law that makes it, besides insurance, that makes it advantageous to be qualified as an RV and not a commercial vehicle. I think I missed some stuff. I was trying to scroll slowly and I think it jumped on me. Stop it. South Cal Girl says, I don't think any living accommodation is completely safe, and that's entirely true. Like, if you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't have, and I used to actually, one of my little side jobs I had was I would go do what was called home surveys for insurance. And so, like, there's a house that somebody's trying to get insured, and through my company, which was a third party, they sent me out to take photos and measurements and answer certain questions about the house. And I think it was just easier for these companies to outsource. But one of the big things about a house in the middle of nowhere is it's less vulnerable to robbers. I mean, it's the same thing as being parked, you know, boondocking. Robbery could happen, like, especially if you're at a campground where a lot of people are, but that is honestly not your biggest threat anymore. Your threats could be animals. It could be, like, fires. If your house catches on fire in the middle of nowhere and you don't have close neighbors, it's going to take much longer for the fire to be seen if you're not home and for neighbors to react to it. And so living in a place where your neighbors are close and can see, like, one of the questions I had was, like, are there at least 3 people that can see the house, you know, in the neighborhood or something like that. So if your house was very rural, sometimes your house couldn't be seen from, like, your neighbor's place. Now, for privacy, that's awesome. And for, like, if your house is really hard to get to, that's also awesome because, like, robbers are usually opportunists. So they want stuff that's easy to get to. Which brings us to, it's nice if you have neighbors that could see your house if something happens, but also, if you're accessible to these neighbors, you're also probably accessible to people just randomly walking down the street. And so besides the actual values of the neighborhood and the crime rates and all that, that was a question that came up all the time. He's trying to get on my stove again. Mickey, stay on my stove. See him? Stay on my stove. Mickey, stop. I see you. He's literally ignoring me. You are a naughty little boy. You know that? Cat. So, like, no, you really have to go with your comfort level, because there's no situation that isn't, no home that is inherently super safe. You're always vulnerable to something, and all you can do is protect yourself against the things you're vulnerable with. For example, if your home is very rural, like, especially now with technology, you can have, like, a smoke detector that's not only going to make noise in the house, but might send a notification to your phone. So really all you can do is, like, protect your situation from the things that make it vulnerable, because all situations are vulnerable, which is why I guess never really worried about living in the vehicle, because everything's vulnerable and all you can do is assess what your dangers are and protect as much as possible against it. Um, that was just me going on a spiel. Redheaded Riding Hood, you are not the worst member ever. I'm glad you made it to this live that's literally in the middle of the night for some people. It's only 10:30 for me. But this is the middle of the night for some people. Whoa, Terry said I called the cops once while someone was trying to break into my house. The cops told me not to bother them. What? That's horrible. Sean H, 5 p.m. in New Zealand. First of all, New Zealand. Awesome. Second of all, thank you for being able to jump in. Gibby Gibb says, as an ex-locksmith, I don't think there is a house that is perfectly safe. Someone wants to get in, they'll get in. It's nice to be able to move it in town. I would think industrial park areas would work. That is absolutely true. If you need to default to somewhere and something that looks like a commercial vehicle, you can go to an industrial park, but also, like, if there's streets where the parking isn't restricted overnight and there's stores, like streets with stores are usually really good street parking for overnight. Now, what you might run into is paid parking at a certain time, and so you would have to move then. And there are some cities, like certain areas of San Francisco, where you're not allowed to park overnight at all. But there are a lot of places, especially in smaller towns, where it's just a street of like stores, and also outside apartment complexes. Like, you might be a utility vehicle, you might be an RV. Mostly people don't care as long as you're not stealing their parking, especially if they have parking in their parking lot, and street parking is kind of first come first serve for guests. So apartments, streets that have stores, like just have a strip of stores, so there's nobody like in the store overnight usually. And so as long as parking itself isn't restricted overnight, it's really easy to park on those streets. So yeah, there's a couple of options, and I like to keep my eyes open when I'm in an area and just go, oh, that looks like a place I could sleep. And if I need to come back to it and I can't find anything by nightfall, because a lot of times, honestly, I just stop wherever I am. I look for a place I can think I can get away with it, and I just park. I don't really stress out about it too much. So yeah. Lindy says, I rebuilt my van at least 5 times and still not satisfied. Well, are we talking full rebuilds or renovations? Because a renovation to me is like, I don't like my cabinets, so I'm just like pulling out my cabinets and redoing them. Whereas full like builds are like, I'm pulling everything out of this and starting over again. And people have done both, and some people are like, you know what, no matter what I do to this vehicle, it's not right for where I am right now and how I want to travel. You know, people get big rigs and realize they'd rather have small rigs because they want the flexibility. People get small rigs and realize it's just not enough space for them. They need larger rigs and they move up. There is no perfect rig. It's only getting out there and experimenting. And it doesn't matter what you start with. Like, I have been winging this as semi-poor for almost 3 years. So just start with something, and then you'll know how you want to adjust. And it may be the build, and it may be the vehicle, and it may be both. And that's okay. Carolyn Freebird says, using my gears is the trick to mountain driving. Redhead Riding Hood X, what I'm in now. I'm in a Ford E350 box truck. The box is 12 by 8 on the outside. So the inside floor dimensions are like, I think 7.8 and like 11.5 or something like that. So it's just a little bit over 11 and a half one way and a little bit over 7 and a half the other way. So yeah. Big Mama, thank you for the $10 super chat. That probably went up a while ago and I'm just noticing it. I'm so sorry. Hey Dawn, do you know if the Jackery car charger pulls 10 amps or 15 amps? My van 12 volt outlet max out at 10 amps. Thanks for all the knowledge you share. I'm actually not sure. Let me see if I have the... I think this is the bag. I think I might have... I don't know what I'll put into... Well, this is for the Explorer 1500, so I don't know. Let me see if I can find out. Well, the Explorer 1500 charges at 10 amps, so I would think the smaller ones are in the same category if they are charging at 10 amps on the big guy. So I'm going to say 10 amps, but that's based on the manual for the 1500. So yeah. Adian said, Adina? Hopefully I haven't said your name right. She said good night, so I'm going to say good night. Victoria says, you're so up tonight, you're looking great. Julie has to go. Bye, Julie. You probably already left, but I'm going to say bye anyway. And I'm probably going to wrap this up in the next 3 minutes. Oh my gosh, capable of greatness. First of all, great name. Good morning, Dawn. Morning, clocking in from London. I've watched you from the very first transportation you have. Thank you so much. So many people have the tabby cats. I love it. Little Mickey clones out there. Alrighty. I'm reading. L2 Cotton says, I've had the Camp Chef oven for years and have never used it. I converted my Sienna minivan into no-bill conversion. I live in a 6,000 square foot house on 15 acres, but I'm drawn to van life. You know what's cool though? If I had a house, honestly, I would have a minivan camper because I would only take the stuff that I need to camp, which not having a house, I find I want to be able to protect myself in like an emergency. So I'm carrying like all kinds of things that are like, if I get stuck somewhere by myself, I want to know I can take care of it. Like most of the tools I carry because nobody else, I have no guarantees of being able to access those tools if I don't own them. And so I feel like a lot of the reasons I personally felt like I needed a larger vehicle was because I don't have a home base. And like when you're going camping in a minivan or like an RV or whatever, you can just put in like food, clothes, maybe a couple small emergency items, but it's not like you have to put your whole life in there. So like I think that's sort of like the balance. But like even if I had land and I had a large vehicle, I think for certain situations, if I had like a place to park it, I would still have a minivan camper. And the Sienna was just great. Like everything about that Sienna was great. I loved it. All right, I'm scanning for questions. If you're ever in Nashville, Tennessee and need a place to park, email me. Paulette's in the chat. If you were here earlier and I didn't notice, Paulette, I ran into in a parking lot, and she started telling me how she was saving for a Jackery, and then I gave her my Jackery 1000. So I no longer own the Jackery 1000, but she did me a favor and she fixed up my curtains, and the curtains are amazing. They're working out great. I even lowered the the big curtain to where it needs to be. So thank you so much. I actually recorded this whole interaction, but I just have not gotten to posting it. I can't believe people are still in the chat. Like, it's getting late. Layla Jean, my lives are not scheduled. I do this very randomly. I've always tried to get to the point of scheduling them, and it just never happens. Because sometimes I feel like if I commit to a time and something comes up, I'm going to feel bad about not getting on. Where if I just got on and people didn't expect it, I haven't like ruined anybody's expectations that I would be on earlier or later. But I would like to randomly do it earlier because I knew jumping on late it was going to be really inconvenient for some people, but I just did it. I also was trying to edit a video today and I was having trouble with one of the files, and so I just gave up and I was like, oh, I'll just go live today. Jennifer Ray says, hi Dawn, another Kiwi from New Zealand. The oven they say is for outside use only, but all good you feel inside the truck. They also say that about every single camp stove anyone has ever used in their van. And all I've ever done with my stoves in my van is open a window and vent it. And yes, because all the stoves that I've ever owned and used inside a camper van have been fine, I am just as comfortable with the oven. Every single camp stove says, use me outside, don't use me inside. And almost everybody just ventilates and uses it inside anyway. So no, I'm not worried about it. Obviously, it's on me if anything happens because the manufacturer says don't do that. I open my windows. I have roof vents now. I never had roof vents in my previous vehicles. I just cracked a window. So honestly, I feel safer using this than I did all of my camp stoves in the past. Old Gringo, I see that you're interested in getting a Scamp to tow around and later get a pickup truck. We'll see. Things and situations change. So a Scamp was one of the things I was looking at when I was looking at small trailers. So I also looked at truck campers. There was one point where I was really committed to getting a truck camper at some point and just getting a pickup truck. And then that idea kind of transitioned into getting the box truck. That was a thought and sentence that just ended. I'm sorry if you're seeing the side of my head, guys. It's easier to read on the laptop. Dora asked about my propane generator. Honestly, like, my brain has been on this show, so I'm going to call them tomorrow. I tried to call them on Monday, but it was a holiday, so nobody was answering the phone. And then today I got busy, so I never called them, and I can't return it to Home Depot because it's a generator, and you have to return those within 30 days. They have 90 days on a lot of other stuff, but the generator is a 30-day return, and I was well past that. So my only recourse is to go through the generator company and not through Home Depot, because Home Depot is 30 days for an item like that that they had to order from a third-party seller and ship to the store. So it is what it is. I need to call them tomorrow. Alright, everybody, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I didn't miss any super chats. If I did, I'm sorry. Sometimes, like, the chat gets truncated, and so, like, I can't see them all. So thank you to everybody who jumped into the chat to talk to me. It was cool just to casually talk about where the build is. You see that curtain up there? It used to have jagged edges. She fixed that for me. But anyway, I'm going to go to bed because I want to get up early and go pick up my mattress tomorrow, which will be cool. And I'm picking up some wood tomorrow. So I'm super excited about what's gonna happen tomorrow, and I am happy that I got to spend the evening with you guys. So good luck, good night, love you all.